Welcome, Spartans, to a podcast evolved, your favorite Halo podcast. I'm your host today, David, and with me is Oran.
Hey, everyone.
And Aaron.
I'm last again. You always introduce me last.
Oh, that's because, Oran freaks out when he's not, the next person
gosh,
to be introduced the first time. And he's like, oh, I'm not the first person, no, whatever.
That was one time.
Just to entertain Oran and keep him happy, I suppose.
Oh, boy.
Don't worry. We'll remember next time. Maybe we'll switch it up. Who knows? All the boys today, guys. So, this week's show, we're going to cover the return of Halo book clubs. Yay! Those things we used to do that we kind of originally started the podcast for.
So, this, it's from Halo Evolutions. It's called Midnight in the Heart of Midlothian. You might remember the name.
Midlothian. That's such a good word.
It's actually, we'll skip forward to the trivia because I'll link this in now, but Heart of Midlothian is named after Frank O'Connor's favourite Scottish football team.
Oh.
So they're called Heart of Midlothian, or Hearts for short, if you ever happen to watch any Scottish football. Yep, that's who Hearts are, because this is one of his stories.
I think this is one of his first stories.
Yeah, so we get, this is where we get this from, and then fun fact, he voices one character in this, and he also, if memory serves me right, it's been a while, but I think he does the audiobook version as well.
That's cool.
The audiobook for Evolutions, it's the original print, not the volume 1 and 2, but they get a lot of characters to do their own voices. So Cortana does, what's her story called? Human Weakness or something, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what it's called.
They get quite a few people in for those. So Frank does the full narration for the audiobook version. And then there's also, if you can't be bothered reading it or you can't find your book, there's a 20-minute animated version of this.
Which is really cool.
I think it's still on Waypoint, but you can find it anywhere on YouTube now. And I think that's the guys that did the terminals, because it's that same animation style.
The Halo 4 terminals?
I think those terminals, and maybe the Fall of Reach stuff as well. I might be giving credit to the wrong people, but it's that same art style of animated and moves a little bit, but nothing too major.
Motion comics, they're cool.
Yeah. Who wants to kick us off with where this story goes?
Oren, you've been very quiet today. What do you want to do?
Well, alright, so spoilers ahead if you haven't read or watched. Actually, I do want to say, I did watch it while, following along with because I have the ebook of Evolutions, and it was pretty cool, kind of following along and then also reading the description of the action that was taking place, and the kind of attention to detail and the way it translates very well and very visually engaging. So either way, I think is a good way to kind of consume this story. But we basically open in space, and we see the Heart of the Midlothian, a UNSC ship, flying around, and we kind of go in on the med bay, and a doctor or a medical technician is talking to an ODST, and it says, "Hey, dude, sorry, you have cancer." And the ODST, Baird, is like, "Well, what's cancer?" I
thought that was funny. Which
is
cancer's just
good.
not a thing in the future.
Yeah, and the technician's like, "Yeah, well, dating back to the 22nd century, cancer is basically a slow burn of a infection in your system. So yeah, it's really easy to get rid of. It's a pretty funny play."
Yeah, I think they say an hour on the med bay here, and we'll cut it out of you, and you'll be dead on some medication. It'll be fine. Yeah. It's and I like the point that they say that almost no one gets it anymore. It's you're kind of a rare. I think the AI calls him a caveman, basically. She's we don't really get this much anymore, but you're a bit of an old goon.
Which is weird because they're still 400 years ahead of when apparently cancer was getting rid of. But anyway, so he goes under. I don't know how specific we want to get, but he goes under.
Go high level. Go high level.
And we also meet the AI of the ship, Mo Ye, who kind of, I don't know about you, but on the art style, at least in the animated graphic novel, it looked almost like a Chinese Catherine Halsey, which I thought that was kind of.
Yeah, they went with kind of an Asian descent.
She has this old ancient Chinese woman look about her. She even coughs, which I find weird. She has this fake cough.
I thought that was weird as well. Is it some kind of she near the end of her cycle or something?
No,
I don't know.
think it's, you know, the way they always talk about weird AIs in Halo that really lean into their like AI avatar.
Oh, you think she
persona?
just took on the
their
persona as an
avatar.
old person, so took on some of the attributes of an old person?
In the Fall of Reach, one of the, I can't remember the AI's name, but he was essentially death. But when he used to stand on his pedestal, they describe how, or no, it's not Fall of Reach, it's Ghosts of Onyx. I think it was the second AI that ran like the Spartan 3 training camp, but he was basically death, and when he would stand on his holographic terminal, ice would spread out around him as a hologram, because like some of them lean really hard into it, and then you get BB that's just like, fuck that shit, I'm a black box.
Oh, dude, BB's great.
I thought that was a weird touch that she like has this cough and all. It's very stereotypical, but she reminds you of the I forget the character's name in the Marvel Netflix shows.
Oh, Madame Yang or whatever.
Madame Ying.
Madame Zong.
Remind you of that.
I don't watch those. I've stopped watching those shows. And it is thundering outside.
Yeah,
Sounds
I heard
awesome.
that one.
Well, so he goes under, and then he abruptly wakes up, and Mo Yang is like kind of filling him in what's going on. He's like, "Oh, what happened? Why I feel so groggy?" And she's like, "Basically, the Covenant are here. They've boarded our ship. They've killed everyone. They've segmented me between, like, I guess the mainframe. I forget what they really called it, but basically the ship." And so she's like split, communicating to him, and he's the only survivor because when he was sedated, he was basically lifeless. And so the Covenant, didn't, assumed he was already dead. And so she was like, so you need to go to the bridge first they go to the engine room, or she suggests that anyway, right?
Yeah, I think before she explains to him just that normally she'd have blown the ship up by now, but she can't do it.
Right.
Because she's in this limited state, she has to obey Asimov's laws of robotics. That's basically what sets up this whole story, is she can't do anything till she gets Bird off the ship.
She can't kill humans.
Yeah, I think he goes to, the first plan is he's to go to the bridge, reboot the computer, and then evacuate the ship, and she's gonna jump it into a star.
Yeah, but there's also the fact that the Covenant, when they boarded this, they deliberately cut her off so that she couldn't enact the Cole Protocol. So like that's the big kind of motivator towards like, okay, we gotta blow this ship up because.
Did you catch the line in that she mentions that they link this back to, you remember the Halo Legends video prototype?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that at some stage, that this takes shortly place after that.
It does, and she also references that she thinks this is the same Covenant that attacked the facility that had the prototype weapon.
Okay.
The armor suit. She thinks these are the same Covenant task force, and that's why they're so good at their job, and they almost took the prototype, and now they've almost taken the ship. He escapes the medbay the first time and happens to walk in on some grunts and jackals and gets shot up.
And that was a pretty cool fight. He like picks up a grunt, and the elite goes to stab him and stabs through the grunt, and also like stabs him too, but it doesn't kill him because that's
He really lives up to his like gruff caveman sort of persona.
He's ODST, man. He's hardcore.
He is hardcore, and then he takes like super drugs.
These are cool. I thought these are like things that they say the insurrectionists would use when they're fighting Spartans. So like suicide, medical, super steroid enhancement things.
Yeah, it just like pumps you up beyond your limits, and then try and
will
do the
kill
most
you.
you can.
So I wrote down the I don't know, the scientific word for this drug, and so because when I heard it on there, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so ridiculous. It's such a big word. So here's my attempt. I think it's phenylcyclone hexypyridine.
Okay, I need to see it, but I could probably just say it.
Phenylcyclone hexylpyridine. It was really cool, and it like whoever did the voice work for Mei Yao, or sorry, Mo Ye, I don't know, rolled off the tongue very very nicely. But anyway, it turns him into like a super soldier, and Mo Ye's basically like, yeah, you'll probably die from the injuries, but if you take this, you'll die later. That's kind of what she says. And so go ahead and leave this room, and once you leave, we won't be able to talk, but you need to get to the bridge, and you need to do this, and all that kind of stuff. So he sneaks around, investigating the ship, silently assassins like two grunts, shoots him in like the head and stuff, And kind of while he's going, it does like a little bit of a flashback, and we kind of get a glimpse of him when he was like a kid, walking home from school, and he's like running through the snow and like stomping around, and he does this cool little imagery where he kind of jumps up and lands flat on his back in the snow because it's so fluffy, and he just starts doing like snow angels and stuff. And I forget what exactly he says, but he kind of just reminisces in this moment. Or no, what happens? No, he gets knocked out by an elite, right? He gets like hit in the head, and it gives him like one of those flashback things, and then it cuts back, and he
he has elite. This sort of line where he's like, "What are you doing lying in the ground? You're gonna get cold. You're gonna die. This is how you die." It's something like that, and then he comes around again and has to try and come up with like a plan.
So just kind of motivates himself to get up and go again.
Yeah, because he's kind of like, what the hell do I do to figure this out? He's like, I could try and fix the AI, but I've no clue how an AI works. Then he comes up with an idea that he's just going to make it that taking the Heart of Midlothian is going to be the most costly thing they've ever done, and he's going to make the Covenant team that took the ship look like idiots.
Which he does.
He does in rather impressive style.
So what's he do? How's he do it, Oran?
He makes his way through some more Covenant, and then he eventually gets to the bridge, and he's just like, he just shows up, throws his hands up, and just declares, "I have the coordinates to Earth. Let me go to the console." And all the Covenant like throws the sword like right under his chin, and like growls at him. So like the elite comes up and like throws its gun or the sword right up next to his chin and like growls at him and like lets him over to the console, and he goes to the engineer and he says, "I'll need the AI to come back to full capacity in order to set the coordinates because she has them." And so the engineer basically rewires Moye. And it's kind of funny because then Baird starts talking about, "Hey, you need to give me the coordinates, wink wink." Like, I need you to bring us to Earth, wink wink. But then because he's trying to basically make Moye to blow up the ship, and but she reminds him about what was the law,
Asimov's laws of robotics.
Asimov's law. And so he's like, okay, and so he basically acknowledges that and sets the passcode and things like that, the what's it called, the certifications, I guess, needed to activate that, and then turns around to the elite and taunts him, and it's like, "Do you really think that I would lead you to Earth? And next time you should try harder when you want to kill me," or whatever he kind of says.
Just starts to fight with him,
and just starts brawling with him, and then the elite just cleanly just slashes his head completely off. And then the AI does something kind of weird here, similar to the cough, where she was like very sarcastic and almost like menacing, where she was like, "Yes, now that he's dead, I can activate the self-destruct sequence in 4 minutes." And then all the elites in the Covenant are like, "What?" But then she's like, "Actually, just kidding. We don't need to wait 4 minutes because I can detonate it now." And so like she does and blows the whole ship up and all the Covenant ships that are surrounding it and all that kind of stuff. And then like the last words were that like the stars float in the space, like dozens of snowflakes falling to the ground. And it's silent again, just like at midnight, and that's it. It's pretty short to the point, and it's a good little like
brutal story. But...
it was great. I was pleasantly surprised when you guys were like, "Yeah, let's do this one. It's a good one." I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a good one. Let's try it out.
It's definitely one of my favorites from Evolutions. This and The Life and Death of Preston Cole are the two I think are the best.
I like this one a lot. It's very dramatic, and I like the idea of this whole kind of one soldier left behind, and he does a suicide mission, and like there's no way he was getting out of there. Like the whole point was to blow up this ship, and I don't know. It's cool. It's just cool to see like human beings fight the Covenant on their own terms in their own kind of way. It's just got such a cool little story, which is obviously depressing.
Touches on like lots of little weird. They give you lots of little real life details that you wouldn't normally be thinking of, like the whole fact that there's an ODST who wouldn't know what cancer is. It's not that he didn't understand or that he was too dumb to follow the doctors. He just literally doesn't know what this disease is. It's that old. It's little things like that. And then they deal a little more with how the AIs work and how an AI can be sort of crippled like that to the point where they can't. Because I think like Moye says at one point, it's like, normally I could ignore the Asimov's laws and kill a human whenever I wanted in my crippled state. That? I think she does say at one point, says, normally I could ignore those rules as I pleased, but in her
she was like,
crippled state, she can't.
I've done it before. It was like it was another weird line.
Because like it's not the first time. AIs have definitely killed people before. The Mona Lisa's a good example of like AIs have just not given a shit.
Well, I guess when they go
sacrificed
rampant, there's certain type of AIs maybe, but I don't know. There are ways of circumventing the logic.
Yeah, they're smart enough to get round it. They have lots of little touches like that are quite cool. And then the fact it ties into other stuff in the Halo universe
always helps.
Yeah, so like I like it. It's definitely one of my favorites. This Cole and the Cortana story are probably, I think, the three best things in those books.
Yeah,
there's a lot. I mean, I love the idea of the short stories. They like the short books even, because they just expand the universe. Every time one releases, you get so many things out of it. Like when Fractures came out again, it was like, okay, we have Forerunner stuff, we got current stuff, we got past stuff, we're all over the place. It's very easy to jump around and get different authors and different styles, and even like Fractures has a follow-up to Troy Denny's book.
But you see, that's the thing I really like about it now, is I hope going forward, because there's definitely a few stories here where I would love a follow-up longer story. Like, I would like the idea that they could put out a book of short stories and then go
expand on them.
These three were the most popular, and go back to those authors and say, would you like to expand these out?
Yeah, that's awesome.
While, okay, this story ends at a dead end and there's nowhere to really go with it, there are others that you could give us more details about.
You could tie in something into this, like, okay, this turns into Prototype, which is almost the same kind of suicide run story. I mean, the characters die in the end of that one, but it still links into this book. So there could be something else linking into this in terms of somebody investigating the events of what happened on this ship. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose, but then again, that's not Bird and Moya, and I think like it's sort of him that makes this interesting. So like,
you think?
I think so.
Okay,
like, it's just something about this like big brutish.
No, yeah, I really got into him and like his drive and his like when you think about Chief and his kind of like mentality when he thinks about going on a mission, like even like in Fall of Reach and stuff, like it's so much of like respect and honor about the military kind of like hierarchy. Like when one of my favorite moments in the book is when I think it's when they're about to board the ship to capture the insurrectionist leader, Red. What was his name? It was like their first mission, but like they called for people to go, and like every Spartan 2 like stood up. And it's like, it's a dangerous mission and all this kind of stuff. And all of the Spartans like stand up, and like that's just like how they are and how they think and stuff. And Baird, the way he's just like, okay, I have to do this. I have no idea how to do it, but the fate of humanity basically rests in my hands, because if I don't do this, then the Covenant are eventually going to find Earth. Is kind of the underlining motivation for that.
If you compare him to the other Marines and ODSTs, we know like Johnson and Buck and the rest are all sort of like charming and suave and funny and kind of modern nearly, where this guy feels more like he's just raw. I think the best way to describe him, he's the closest human equivalent I've ever seen to a brute. He's just here to smash shit up and get stuff done.
But he's also not like mindless though, but I do get what you're saying. He is very brutish, as if you would say to a human that's just kind of this hulking figure.
A lot of the old ODSTs are kind of shown in that light, being like super hyper aggressive, like really kind of like brutish, I guess. Maybe you think of like when they were writing about ODSTs in Fall of Reach. Well, even like talking about John killing those ODSTs in the train in the gym when he first met them, they're all described as like brooding hulks and kind of like very like super aggressive kind of soldiers.
Well, you also have the two ODSTs from the Kilo 5 trilogy. And like, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're brutish, but they are the kind of like, yeah, I just want to kill some aliens. Like,
but they're kind of thoughtful though, whereas Bird's definitely not.
And well, in the short time we get to know him, we see this kind of side of him. So
I mean, he is. There's not too much in the way of like deep thought going on there.
Yeah, maybe not. But I mean, I don't know.
Maybe not philosophically, but I mean, I think with like his whole flashback, and it comes to, and he's like, okay, why am I thinking this? I need to wake up or I'm gonna die. And then he's like, okay, what do I need to do? Like it's not just like, oh, I'm just gonna shoot my way out sort of a thing. He's like, okay, I have to stop for a moment and think about this. And like, I don't know. It's just I just thought that was a very nice moment.
So overall, I think this is a story worth. If you have 20 minutes, go watch the animated version. It's also worth a read.
I mean, if you have 30 minutes, go read the.
Yeah, I say if you have the audiobook as well, it's worth listening. And I have one last piece of trivia. We touched on the other two. For anyone out there that might have played Marathon back in the day, I definitely haven't. Note in the bottom said that the story is very similar to Marathon, and that the protagonist is the last human on board a ship with an AI that's only capable of opening doors.
Huh, I never knew that. I don't even know anything about Marathon, really.
I've never touched Bungie's early stuff, Marathon or Oni. I think they put them out on iPad a while ago, but you don't really want to play anything with touch controls. They're not great. Overall, everyone like it?
Highly recommend.
And then I suppose we should mention then that this is a hopefully kickstarting comeback of our book clubs. We're getting our stuff together at the minute and getting organised.
I feel like we dropped off when we were doing the website. And yeah, since then we've kind of just been putting it off, I guess. But yeah, thanks to Aaron, he kind of started us back up into it and made a nice, very thorough list of all the books clubs that we've done and all the ones we haven't done. So I think this one, it marks number like 22.
I believe 21 now. We've had 20 before this.
We had 20, but then I went back and because when I just did the Genesis episode with Let's Talk Halo, but Aaron, I think you and I, might have been David and I, I'm not sure which one of you it was. Not a racist thing at all. Just I don't remember.
I think I remember this.
I think it was Aaron
because
I think David left early, so I want to say it was Aaron. But I wanted to cover my bases. You and I, when we did Halo History, not Halo History, but we did Halo Wars History, and we talked about Halo Wars 1 and Genesis. And so I went back and renamed that episode just to include the Halo Book Club kind of club tag in there, because it basically was like a little mini book club. So anyway, so for our sake, this will be number 22 out of like, I don't know, 100.
There could be another 70 or 80 on the not completed list yet. Like Evolutions alone, there's 14 things in total, and I think we've done 4 of them.
And I think for short stories like Evolutions or Fractures, we might be able to do maybe 2 for one episode if we continue doing one a month or something. So we'll keep you guys updated on what we're thinking and how we're going to be doing all this stuff. If there's a particular story that we haven't done that you guys want our opinions on, by all means message us. I think, Aaron, you were talking about making a poll.
When we kind of have a rough list figured out of the few that we want to do, I'm going to put a few out there to see what people would like to pick and add to it. At the end of the day, we'll cover whatever you guys want to listen to. If there's something in particular that you're curious about or you want to hear our take on, like, we'll gladly jump about, because we're not beholden to following the timeline in order with these.
No, we do what we feel is necessary, and if people want stuff, we'll go with it.
We might try, as we've been talking, we might try and link some stories together for you. If there's a couple of short stories like the likes of Prototype and Midnight in the Heart of Midlothian, like, we'll try and tie those together and maybe cover them one after the other, so you can like piece together the universe a little easier. Because I know even in the group a couple of weeks ago we had some people asking, how do you keep track of the lore? And like, one of the easiest ways is to sort of mentally tie things together in your head.
That's not easy.
No, yeah, but it slowly narrows down the spider's web a little bit.
Anyway, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I think we've gone long this week.
Well, before we wrap up, let me make one quick little note. So about Ian, so another welcome to the team. But if any of our listeners out there, if you guys want, a way to connect with us or a way to help us do what we do, reach out to us. And if there's something that, we've been trying to do, but either haven't had the right fit or there's just not enough time for any one of us to kind of do, I don't know, let us know. And if there's something that you're interested in and it's something that we can, I guess, help you do, or rather you help us do, then that's something we can definitely talk about, because Ian's been wanting to do something with us for like 2 months now or something, or maybe even longer, but he reached out to us like 2 months ago, and as we've kind of just kept that in the back of our mind, and as we've been doing things and as I've been trying to sort stuff out on the website, it kind of just clicked. So if other listeners and fans are in that same boat that would like some sort of outlet, let us know, because otherwise we don't know about it. And if there is something for you and you're able to help us out, great, we'll get that ball rolling. And if not, we can just kind of keep that on the back burner and just ask you to keep sharing and talking about the show and Halo with everyone you meet on the street. Hey, have you heard about this new Halo podcast? So anyway, that's all I got.
From that, I'll take us through the outro. So obviously everyone else, you should be aware of us right now. We are majorly heavy on Facebook, with our group is facebook.com/groups/podcast evolved, or just Google Podcast Evolved, you'll find us. From there you can ask everything that we do, questions, debates, theories, find games to play with. Obviously we love Halo and try and play as much as we can. Some of us are better at it than others for obvious reasons. We already mentioned our website, which is halopodcastevolved.com. From there you can find pretty much everything. We have an Instagram, we have Twitters, we have gamer tags, all that kind of stuff, so we're all there. Super friendly, lovely people who love Halo.
Oh, shout out while we're at it. Don't forget about our Podcast Evolve gamer tag.
We have a Podcast Evolve gamer tag, which is not in use yet, unless Aaron is stealing it.
It is in use. We use it.
Ah, excellent stuff.
We have it.
If you add it as a friend and keep an eye out, you might see it online. I think at some point we're probably between us going to try and earn all the Halo achievements for it. So
Jesus.
If you ever see Podcast Evolve,
I don't know about that one. That's a bold statement considering what Master Chief Collection has going on for it. Like,
I think between the four of us, we can probably chisel it out at some stage.
I mean, definitely campaign achievements, and I could earn those campaign achievements all the time.
Should you see Podcast Evolved online, don't be afraid to send us a party invite and come and join us. It'll be a mystery, and you'll get to see who's on the other end of the microphone every time.
You get to roll the dice. Aw, damn, it's Krista.
Okay, guys, anything else you want to add real quick?
I think we're good.
Okay, so from that, everybody, thanks for listening. Evolve.
Evolved.